All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 12 o'clock. Let's see if the new chapter is up. It's not up quite yet, which allows us to speak on the last chapter for a little bit. So, there we go. Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here to bring you yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction. Now, as I explained last week, last week, One Piece is on break for this Sunday, today. So My Hero Academia is the only chapter reaction I'm going to be giving to you guys today, and you know the usual One Piece episode reaction. But we kind of need to talk about the last chapter of My Hero Academia and how All For One has shown that he is always 10 steps ahead of everyone, taking and thinking of every single contingency to lure people to do exactly what he wants them to, or go where he wants them to go. So, it's crazy how this villain has been written, and he foresees how people are going to behave and makes plans based on those assumptions. Now, the thing about his assumptions, it's not he's just assuming things are going to happen. They flat out happen. Like, he knew that Midoriya was going to leave UA and go out on his own, and also have a whole bunch of heroes with him. So he came up with a plan to separate Midoriya from the rest of the heroes, just so he can have someone else bring Midoriya to him. But on the off chance that Midoriya could convince the person who was supposed to bring him in, All For One had this person rigged to literally blow up at a moment's notice, just in case they didn't behave the way All For One wanted them to. Now we end the chapter. We ended the last chapter, 316, where Midoriya and all of them get lured into this massive mansion where Lady Nagant says that that's where Midoriya is supposed to be, and no one is there. No one's there except a hologram screen showing All For One just monologuing to all of the heroes. And his last words that we see in this chapter is him saying to Midoriya, "Hey, you've been on my mind the entire time I was in prison. I'm done focusing on All Might. Now I'm gonna focus all my attention on you. Now it's your turn." And he just, mockingly repeating exactly what All For One said. I'm noticing that my camera might just be a smidge higher than normal, so we ought to be good there. Okay, now let's go ahead and see if the new chapter is up. Let me refresh Viz. Yes, it's there. All right. Now that I'm done giving you guys a little synopsis of the last chapter, now we get to move on to the next chapter. Because the last chapter ended with All For One pretty much blowing up the entire mansion that Edgeshot, Mount Lady, Endeavor, Best Genus, Midoriya, and Kamui Woods, they were all in that mansion. And it just went up. So now we get to find out what happens in chapter 317, Scars, Blood, Filth. And I'll have my camera here so that way I'm not, leaning so far into the camera. I tend to do that. My apologies, everyone who's here. So let me just move my honey bun off to the side. And this must be before they went to the mansion, because the heroes are all sitting in a warehouse right now. Also, Hawks was there as well. And who's speaking? "We may have escaped that explosion by the skin of our teeth, but the blast erased any trace of the leak." No, this is afterwards. I'm sorry. Did we skip a page or two? Or is this the aftermath? What the actual heck? How do you... Maybe we're seeing we're at the after party, but then the chapter is going to explain how we got to this point right here. Okay. It confused the heck out of me all of a sudden. But, they're saying, "We may have escaped that explosion by the skin of our teeth, but the blast erased any trace of the leak." And then Edgeshot says, "Have we extracted any more from Nagant?" And Hawk says, "Not happening. She's in such bad shape, the folks at Central Hospital say that they don't even know how she's alive." Then Kamui Woods, aka Rookie, says, a woman afflicted by powerful despair, still clinging desperately to life. Then Endeavor says, and then Edshot says, Endeavor, is it time to stake everything on turning this around? Edshot with Camino Pizza. And Edshot continues saying, maybe we should expand this beyond us and bring in every last remaining hero, informing the others about Midoriya and One for All, and throw an all-encompassing net at this investigation. And Mount Lady is there, get it done, gal. And then she says, that business with Lady Nagant made it clear that the brunt of hunting down the League will be left to Midoriya. The cops are up to their eyeballs with other problems, and there have been no eyewitness accounts of the League for a while. We should put together a task force before the pool of colleagues we can count on has dried up. And then Endeavor says, right. Desu Tagoro quit 2 days ago. What? What? Dude, the Power Arms guy? The dude with the construction, headpiece, and he has, the big, massive arms? He quit? He quit! Bruh, he's one of the first heroes we see in the series! He's gone? Bruh! And Mount Lady's just thinking of him, and then he says, this job's been running me ragged. I can't seem to catch a break. And what do we get for it? Rants, doubts, rage. Yeah, I know there's still some support for us out there, but one loud heckler easily drowns out the 10 fans. I never felt like this before. I thought I was different. Better. I'm sure we all did once. But nah, I'm no hero. Only human. Wow, Power Arms is gone. He left. Bruh, I liked him. He was the only one who pretty much stayed the same the entire series. Until now. He's the one you could always count on, even though some of the times he would just be a background character. He was just there. But I guess all this turmoil from the citizens and, people doubting the heroes, I guess it's finally got to him. But continuing, Endeavor says, in the big battle, he led the charge to round up the spy heroes working for the Paranormal Liberation Front. He seemed like a hero with some backbone to him. And Bestgina says, any given hero's thread could snap tomorrow, and it wouldn't come as a shock. We hear about more heroes hanging up their costumes every day. And Endeavor continues saying, plus, the media's closing in on Midoriya, since heroes who do quit end up leaking details. Wow, so when these heroes get out of the game, they just start opening their big fat mouths. Dang it, I thought there was actually some integrity. But then again, this story has shown us that integrity is only amongst, a select few people, and it's not just a universal thing, even with the heroes. But Endeavor continues saying, with law and order all but gone, power runs unchecked in the streets, so we can't let the world learn the truth behind One for All. If that were to happen, Deku would be the one caught in a vicious cycle of negativity. And Hawk says, we can sit here all day and prophesize doom, but the fact is, doom's already on our doorstep. And then Mount Lady says, I've been thinking. Is All for One planning to go public? About Midoriya? And One for All, why not make that his opening move? And then Endeavor says, that would force us heroes to mobilize and lock Deku away somewhere safe. So his silence tells us he doesn't. And then, silence tells us he doesn't want that. Still, unless Deku and the rest of us are out there taking action, we'll never get any leads. Not enough cops, not enough heroes. And then something goes off on Endeavor's phone. Hey, pick up the phone from Shoto. A message from Shoto saying, hey, pick up the phone, and then a missed call from Shoto again. Also, Shoto was trying to call his dad. And then it cuts to a flashback of when, the Todoroki family was all together, and Shoto had his hands out to his dad saying, we all have to go stop Toya. And then Endeavor thinks, sorry, Shoto. Hang in there a little longer. Because for now, And then another beat pops up. And it's Hawks saying, that was mine. Just got word from All Might. What? Midoriya ran into a second hired gun. Wow, so another one of the people that he conscripted to go after Midoriya, just like Lady Nagant, Midoriya just ran into him. Oh my goodness. Who is that? Midoriya? Is that him? That does not look like Midoriya. I'm reading from the Viz site. Look at this panel. I am on pages 8 through 9. Midoriya beat this guy already. He has him strung up by Black Whip, but Midoriya looks absolutely terrifying. He just has this man on his back, just strung up by Black Whip, and Midoriya's just holding him there. It's already over. He won. And then a close-up shot of Midoriya, bruh. The way Midoriya looks, it's like he's just seething with darkness. All you see, you don't even see his face. You just see his mask covered in shadow. Like the shadow and the detail of this one panel of Midoriya. Just the darkness and just his eyes coming out of that darkness. Midoriya looks straight up evil here. And All Might is just looking at him, all like, kid. And then Midoriya just runs out of the building saying, that one didn't have any intel. Be careful, he might explode too. And he just books it. And All Might's all, wait a minute. And Midoriya stops. You haven't been eating. And then Midoriya says, All Might, you don't have to tag along anymore. I'm fine. And Midoriya just starts to walk away from All Might. Really, And he thinks of when All for One says, now, it's your turn. Really, fine. And then he just thinks back to when he was running with All Might way back when. Continue down this path, and what awaits you is an unspeakably gruesome death. And that was back when they were talking with each other, back when Night Eye was mentioned, way back when. And All Might says, no, I can't just... And then Midoriya says, listen, what I'm capable of now is on par with you at 100% with no recoil to boot. So... And then there's just flashbacks of Shigaraki and Gran Torino giving him his cape. And then Nana Shimura crying. And then Midoriya sitting with All Might way back when. And then there was a moment with a flashback of All Might saying, I need you to tell the world I am here. And then I guess we have All Might thinking to himself, you're dead set on keeping me out of harm's way, and you have your duty as a wielder of One for All. You don't look back at me anymore. And then Midoriya, whose facial features kind of softened up a little bit. Mind you, we still can't see his face underneath his mask, but it's kind of softened up from this evil look to be like a little bit less intimidating. And he just says, don't worry about me. Really. I swore I'd raise you up and protect you. Wait, says All Might, as Midoriya starts to walk away. But I know how it is. You're the only one who can bear this burden, and I know how crushing it is. Do your best. You deserve to rest. I need to tell you that. Kid, And then it just shows Midoriya just launching away from All Might, leaving behind the bento lunch that he had. Wow. Can you imagine what this feels like? Like Midoriya used to hang on All Might's every single word, but now Midoriya has become so engrossed in this. And I'm not saying he's becoming blind to the people around him, but he's just become so engrossed in trying to get to All for One that he's actually slightly starting to neglect the people that are around him. Like, sure, he's saying, don't worry about me, really. But he's just trying to make sure that they don't try to keep up with him because he feels like, does he feel like All Might may be holding him back from going all out and trying to find All for One? Yes, All Might is looking out for his well-being, as he should. But Midoriya is just... He was never this distant and this standoffish with All Might before. Well, I mean, it goes to show you just how far the situation has grown. But for Midoriya just to leave All Might and not even take the lunch with him because he's just so dead set on trying to find All for One. Midoriya has changed ever since he left UA and started doing this whole vendetta of trying to find out where All for One is. He really has changed. I don't know if this is going to be a permanent thing or if he's only doing it just to find All for One and then he just goes back to the happy-go-lucky kid that just mumbles endlessly and writes in his journal all the time, because we have not seen that type of personality from Midoriya in a while. But let me continue. It shows Midoriya jumping away from All Might. It shows the bento box just on the ground, and it shows All Might on the ground, I guess just lamenting over the current state of events with Midoriya right now. And we have someone here on the leftmost bottom panel. Can't tell who that is. Oh my god! Oh! 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 It's Stain! Oh my god, Stain is here! Stain is here! Stain is here! Yo. It's Stain. And I guess he's speaking, saying, they say he appears without a sound, and he's got a whole mess of quirks in him. That sounds like All for One's ability, right? Or like a Nomu even. But apparently he goes around helping people. The rumors say he's caked with blood and filth which covers up his many scars. Looking at him, you'd never guess he was a hero. Exactly. Midoriya is just covered in blood and filth. He does not look like a hero anymore. He looks like what would happen if Midoriya came in contact with the Venom symbiote. To a degree. That's how Midoriya looks. He even has like... The thing about Midoriya right here is I don't know if his emotions is making him look like this, but he just has like tendrils of Black Whip just like sticking out of him, flowing with him and moving with him as he walks. But Midoriya does not look like the same Midoriya that we've seen all this time. Dude looks like an anti-hero now. And he's just casually walking through the streets. And that's the end of the chapter. It ends with Midoriya just walking through the streets with his quirks with Black Whip just out. He's not even using it for anything. It's just out. Just flowing, ebbing out of him. And he's just walking. No, not even just that, but he has full cowling. Like the electricity of full cowling just on him right now. He's not even fighting anyone. He's just walking through the streets with Black Whip and full cowling just on. And that's the end of the chapter. What in the world? What in the world? Okay, so we're not gonna get we're not going to get any information about how all those heroes got out of that mansion after All for One blew it up. But apparently, Midoriya, the last speech that hold on before I read your comments, I need to get all this information in my brain out, okay? So the speech that All for One said to Midoriya, it must have seriously stuck with him, because now he ran into another hired gun, like another person that All for One hired to get Midoriya. Same level as Lady Nagant. And Midoriya just straight up beat him the moment he got the message. The moment Hawks got the message that, hey, Midoriya ran into another hired gun, it was already over. He had the dude strung up in Black Whip, and he was just standing over him, holding him. And Midoriya had this look of, this dude didn't have what I needed. And he just books it and just starts to leave. Doesn't bother with any of his heroic speeches or anything. He just binds the guy up, didn't have any information, drops the guy, and then just leaves to try and find someone else. Now, let me see. Yeah, and then not to mention, he's just traveling around the city with full cowling on and Black Whip just on, just out. He's just traveling around the city with his quirks just on. Not fighting anyone, not talking to anyone, just walking down the sidewalk with his quirks just on. Dude doesn't even look like anything's affecting him right now. This is a scary Midoriya. This isn't the same Midoriya this isn't the same student Midoriya that we had before all of this went down, where he would spend his time contemplating, how am I going to get out of this? I got to do my best to save these people. We got a Midoriya here who is not messing around, does not even stick around to the dude just went from happy-go-lucky Superman-type Midoriya to Dark Knight Batman Deku. I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Deku. Like, oh my goodness, he went full vigilante now. Now and not only that, Stain has shown back up. Stain is back. I thought it would be cool if Stain showed up just momentarily during the whole Lady Nagant fight. But the fact that Stain is here right now, and he's hearing these things about Midoriya, and Midoriya just casually walking through the streets with his quirks that's the thing that I can't shake, okay? There's a certain limit to how much a person can use their quirk at a given time. Endeavor has a limit to the point where it'll exhaust his stamina. All Might had his limit, especially after the grievous wound that All for One left him. He could only keep his muscle form for a certain amount of time, and that decreased after he gave his quirk to Midoriya. You got people like Shoto who can't use his quirk to a certain degree, otherwise it'll start to affect his body. Everyone has limits on their quirks, but Midoriya is just casually walking through the city with full cowling just on, with Black Whip just on, and it's like he doesn't even care. It's like, okay, so you know how Spawn basically walks everywhere, and his cape is always flowing like it's alive. He has his Gran Torino cloak on. He's just walking with full cowling, just electricity all over his body, and then there's like tendrils of Black Whip just flowing from underneath his cape. So it's like small little arms that are ready to grab onto whatever is close to him at any given time, and he is covered in blood. Mind you, blood, which could have either come from him or it could have come from the people he's beaten up on. This is Izuku Midoriya, everyone. He's covered in blood and filth, has not been eating, and has been dead set on trying to find more information on All for One. The dude looks like a dark version of himself. That is what this chapter brought us. Not only that, but one of you brought up the fact that the whole relationship that All Might and Midoriya have had so far, to see it reach this point on Father's Day. Like, they pretty much had a teacher student relationship, but it was really like a father-son relationship to some degree. But to see it get to the point where Midoriya kinda doesn't give All Might the same attention that he used to, and was even brushed off taking a lunch from All Might just to go off searching again. To see their relationship get to this point, and it ended with All Might breaking down, head to the ground, just lamenting over where he and Midoriya stand right now. Just that whole moment where he just, in silence, especially with the bento locks just falling onto the floor, and he's just, I couldn't even tell if he's crying, because that's how small the panel is. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was happening. But for all of that, the whole conversation where Midoriya's all like, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine." He wasn't saying that to reassure All Might. I believe he was saying that just to have All Might stop worrying about him so he can continue to do what he's doing. Because with the behavior and mannerisms and the way that Midoriya has been speaking this whole time, he has not been as, respectful in his speech. Like, the dude has a completely different mindset after All For One says, "I've had you on my mind the entire time I was in prison. Now it's your turn. I no longer care about All Might. Now all of my attention is now focused on you." And whatever that did to Midoriya after All For One said that, it changed something in Midoriya's mind that quick. Because, mind you, one of you said he can't even try to save the villains anymore lest they freaking explode. Exactly. So let me see what you guys have said. But for Midoriya to just go on this warpath like he is right now. No, Deku is worried that All Might might get injured by following him. Okay, so that I just feel like the way I just felt like the way he said that was like he was just trying to brush All Might off. But I feel like, well, actually, you know what, Avenger, you may be right, and I just kind of overlooked that. But I feel like that's probably the one moment where he kind of lessened up that attitude he has, because he was saying, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine." Like, all this whole chapter, all his facial features were just like mad looks in his mask, and you can only see the brimming irises of his eyes underneath it. But he softened up a little bit when All Might was trying to calm him down a little bit. So there was a semblance of him, getting back to the way he was before, and then reassuring All Might that, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." But, so yeah, Avenger, I agree with you saying, I agree, I was wrong with what I said before, and I'm not ashamed to admit when I'm wrong. He was trying to keep All Might away, because All Might's gonna get hurt if Midoriya keeps on this path that he's going, especially with the idea that potentially any one of these hired guns that go after Midoriya could have just yet another bomb quirk implanted in them that All For One can just detonate, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt in that. So that was the softer moment of Midoriya from this whole chapter. But then he immediately shifts back and then just launches into the distance away from All Might. So even though there was a little soft moment where Midoriya came back, Deku just went straight out and kept going. It was just that one moment. So let me see what you all said. Yes, Death Arms. Death Arms, not Power Arms. Death Arms. I am so sorry. All right, Death Arms retired. It's sad. Yeah, I actually thought Death Arms was gonna be one of the heroes who stuck it out. But I guess all the ridicule and the heckling from the citizens was just too much for even Death Arms. He was literally one of the first heroes we see. And now he's gone. He's no longer a hero. He retired. He quit. I thought it would last forever. He was there with Kamui Woods and Mount Lady when we first seen them. Heroes snitch to get the media away from them. Yo, keep up the good content. Thank you, Faizan. The later panels are insane. Exactly. I wonder if Vlad is retired. Sheesh. And it begins, no, Deku is worried about All Might. I think it's more that he wants All Might out of harm's way. Austin, Avenger, yeah, I agree with the both of that. My Hero Academia, more like Beastars. Deku became furry, cue the Dark Knight theme with some thunderstorms. Now the true birth of Bat Deku has in Emperor Palpatine's Jin Woo's voice. Arise. OMG, Deku has become a vigilante now. Jesus, I love this new Deku. The fact they screwed All Might and Deku's relationship on Father's Day is painful. Like, really? To bring this moment on Father's Day? How to make people like main characters. Step 1, give everyone else less screen time. Step 2, make main character a psychopath. It's like walking down the street with a gun in your hand. Like you're cut and hi. Yes, Hiroshi, I had to get my hair shaved. I don't like having a lot of hair. Even though it looks short, that's what I consider long hair to me. So I like to keep it shaved. I had to get it done. I didn't get it done last Sunday. I apologize, but I'm glad I got it now. It's like walking down the street with a gun in your hand. Yeah, Midoriya is in metamorphosis. This chapter is insane. He can't even try to save the villains anymore lest they freaking explode. Really? Wow, this chapter was everything. This chapter was a 10 out of 10. Just for the just seeing Ruthless Deku. We saw Ruthless Deku. Midoriya would have done everything in his power to, restrain the villain. But he had the dude strung up. Like, his body was... Hold on. Let me see if I can get a good example right here. Okay, so I'm gonna use my Thanos as an example. So he had the guy strung up by black whips. Like, the dude was hanging by black whips on his side. No support for his body weight or anything like that. He was just strung up by black whips. Just hanging there. Not like bound all the way up so he couldn't move. Midoriya beat him and then just hung him out to dry. He just hung him out to dry like he was nothing. And I just threw Thanos away like he was nothing. But Midoriya, oh my goodness. Horikoshi, to see Midoriya get to that point where I just thought of something. I wonder what the vestiges of One For All think about how Midoriya is progressing right now. Can you imagine? The thing is, Midoriya has access to the dreamscape of One For All. Therefore, the vestiges of the previous of the predecessors of One For All, they can see what Midoriya is doing. So I wonder what they think about Midoriya's approach to handling these villains the way he is, and his behavior as well. Because they see all that's going on with Midoriya. They can see. Oh my goodness. I never thought I'd see the day where I would see Midoriya. I never thought I'd see the day when Midoriya would just behave like this. Maybe we'll see Deku and Stain team up after all. Maybe Blaziken. Maybe. Because as we all remember, Stain acknowledges Midoriya as being worthy of being a hero. He acknowledged that All Might was a true hero, and he also acknowledges that Midoriya is a true hero as well. That's why he saved Midoriya way back when in the whole Camino incident with the flying Nomu that grabbed him. Stain, who, had like a punctured lung and couldn't use his arms anymore, took a knife and killed it. Because he saw Deku as worthy of being a hero. So, who knows what the interaction is going to be like with Stain and Midoriya? Should they meet up? But apparently, word is getting around with Midoriya. People have seen Midoriya. Words is getting around to the villains, and most likely probably getting around to the citizens as well. And... can you imagine what his mom would say if she saw Midoriya the way he is right now? The way he's behaving? Especially when it comes to some of these villains? Can you imagine? She's already had a tough enough time seeing her son being in the hospital multiple times. Can you imagine when she sees Midoriya behaving all ruthless and dark like this? My goodness, what a chapter. Wow. I never thought and here's the thing I love about My Hero Academia. We could come up with so many different theories about what the next chapter is going to be. But unlike One Piece, where we could just kind of formulate what things may happen, My Hero Academia just continues to go out of its way to leave you on cliffhangers where you do not know what's going to happen, and that's why I love this series so much. But how long have I gone for? 35 minutes? I think that's good enough. I don't want to keep you guys here any longer than I already have. All I know is this story of My Hero Academia has already escalated far beyond what I thought this entire arc was going to be like. And I'm enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. Can you remember from the very first chapter of My Hero Academia? Let me read this real quick. People are saying Ikuzu's finally cool and a goat because he's powerful and edgy looking. He's not a goat right now. He's close to a mental breakdown. I mean, you're not wrong. There's only so much that this can do to a person's psyche before something starts to really happen. Sure, I understand people think he's finally... Well, first of all, Midoriya's always been cool. He was quirky. Quirky. But he's always been cool. He just had like an overwhelming sense of heroic humbleness to him. But here in this chapter, it's gone from being just straight up humble to just, this dude doesn't have what I need. I need to go find the other one. Brushing off the, slightly brushing off the people that have been close to him this whole time. And just stringing up villains like they're nothing. Like regular Midoriya would have just bound the guy up. Like I said before, he would have just bound the guy up so he couldn't move. But Midoriya here is just literally just whipping him up into the air and hanging him out to dry like the dude is nothing at all. So, yes, Midoriya has always been cool, so I don't know why they're saying he's finally cool. He's always been cool. Midoriya's always been cool. But this type of path does not do too well to a person's mental well-being. I mean, look at Batman. The dude doesn't trust anyone. He is not above breaking bones in order to get the information that he needs, and he'd rather keep people away from him to not just, keep them at arm's length so that they don't get used against him at some point, but also because his personality, after spending so much time as being Batman, has made him extremely rough around the edges. His whole mindset is that of pretty much Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is the man. So, going down this whole vigilante path, it can really mess with your mind. Especially if you grew up thinking that, I'm going to be a hero! Then all of this stuff happens. Cities are destroyed. People die. Turmoil and chaos is in the streets. And you're out there doing the very best that you can to quell it. And then you realize that, if I do this as a hero, it might work. But if I take it just one step further, I might get better results. And then it starts to mess with your mind. And you start to think, well, maybe this heroic way of doing things may not be the only option. May not be the only way to get the job done. So maybe if I just put on the pressure, just a little. That's how it starts. It starts with a little bit of pressure. Then you see that those give you good results. Then, when you get pressed up against a little opposition that resists that little bit of pressure, then you put more pressure. And then you get an opposition that puts on, that resists that more pressure, and you put in even more pressure. But the trouble with that type of mindset is, it is kind of tricky to bring that pressure back. Especially if you keep going with that same amount of pressure. I'm concerned with Deku's health, no sleep, no food, wounds, constant fighting. I'm surprised he hasn't fallen ill yet. It's crazy, this dude has not been eating. That's another thing as well. He's not worried. He does not care about his own well-being right now. He's not keeping himself clean. He's not washing the blood off his costume. He's not eating. He's not keeping himself full of energy. He's not sleeping. He's not doing something that a hero would do to make sure they're in tip-top shape. He is just going like a machine. just going and going and going and going and going and going, not giving rest for himself. Because frankly, right now, Midoriya does not care about his own well-being. Otherwise, there wouldn't be rumors about Midoriya walking through the streets covered in blood. He can continuously fight because of One For All. It gives him immense energy and stamina to the user. Exactly, that's what One For All does. But at the same time, Midoriya is not, he's not just ignoring food and all that, because One For All basically functions as his, afterburner for the time being, because it gives him, like you said, immense energy and stamina. But at the same time, he's just ignoring basic human needs. Everyone needs to sleep. Everyone needs to eat. Even Midoriya would stop sometimes. But he's on a warpath right now, and all he can think about is finding All For One, or anyone who has intel on him. That's the mindset that's the headscape. That's the headspace that Midoriya is in right now. Doesn't care about eating, doesn't care about giving himself any rest, because any moment he stops doing what he needs to do to find All For One could be another moment where All For One can continue with his plans. And the way that Midoriya is behaving right now, it gives the impression that he does not want to give All For One that chance. In Vigilante's manga, All Might did the same thing. He continuously worked for 72 hours without a break. Even so, Midoriya is not All Might though. I mean, he even said that I'm at your same level when you were at 100%. Like, hold on, let me go back to that chapter as well, where he says, what I'm capable of now is on par with you at 100%, and with no recoil to boot. He literally just says that I am on the same level that you were at 100%, with no recoil. I am on the same level as All Might, when All Might was at 100%. With no recoil. And the things that he says to All Might just gets All Might all concerned. So I don't even know. It is crazy. I hope, didn't they mention All Might also did this back in his prime, although he still makes time to attend to his human needs? Yes! At least All Might attended to his human needs. Yes, he can go full on hours, like full on days, without, taking care of himself. But at least he took care of himself. Midoriya's not. He's gotten so dirty, so covered in blood and filth, that people are starting rumors about him, to the point where they say he doesn't even look like a hero. Midoriya is just ignoring all basic human needs. Not just eating and, taking a rest, but keeping himself clean. He literally does not care about any of that right now. I hope Staines finds Deku and in some way either fights or talks some sense into him. Yeah, I agree. Midoriya must take a break. I think he's lying with the 100 thing. How did he jump from 45 to 100 within a short time? Maybe he said that to, get All Might to think that, wow, you were able to get to 100% with no recoil? Maybe I don't need to stay with you. See? Kind of subtle manipulation there, a little bit. Psychological manipulation there on Midoriya's part. Possibly trying to say that to get All Might to back off. So that All Might doesn't feel like, well, I just need to be here for the kid. But Midoriya just says, oh, well, I can hit 100% without any recoil, so you don't need to be here. Trying to get All Might to stay away. Just a little psychological thing right there. So whether he can actually hit 100% with no recoil remains to be seen. He could just be saying that just to throw All Might off and to get him to stay behind. It's heartbreaking that he leaves All Might on Father's Day. Or he did that on purpose. Wow, it's funny when you think about it. Fajin plus One For All is pseudo 100%. Pretty much. The thing about Fajin, though, is that it's a temporary boost. It's not something you can keep on all the time. and it's a kinetic boost as well. A kinetic movement energy booster. So it's not like he can just keep Fajin on all the time. He can only build it up when he's like moving and then release it to increase his movement speed. But it's not something that he can keep coursing through his body for long periods of time. That's not how that quirk works, I don't think. But what a chapter to get on Father's Day. You get a father-son relationship reaching what could be a very, very sour patch right now. In this chapter. On Father's Day. Horikoshi, you know what you did. But overall, this was a great, fantastic chapter. Midoriya covering himself in all of his quirks, just walking through the streets. People starting rumors saying that he doesn't even look like a hero with how covered in blood. The fact that he's covered in blood on top of the scuff marks and all the dirt and grime he's built up over this time. And it's just darkened him. He used to have a bright suit. Now it's just so dark that he's literally become a Dark Knight now. That's how it is. But not only that, Stain. We see Stain after all this time. We finally see Stain, and he's just out there in the city somewhere. Sad but great chapter. Yes, the moment where Midoriya just leaves All Might there. Not even accepting the bento lunch. I would have took the bento lunch. I've never had a bento lunch. I would like to have that bento lunch. Midoriya, if you don't eat it, I will. But this was kind of a sad chapter, but it was also kind of epic as well. Just seeing Midoriya go, kind of dark with his methods of trying to get information from these different hired guns that are coming after him. So this was a 10 out of 10 chapter on Father's Day, no less. So also, if I have any fathers out there, happy Father's Day to you. Hope you enjoy yourself. I want to see what his classmates would think if they saw him right now, especially Uraraka. Uraraka and Bakugo. Ooh, the two people who are closest to him in his class. It'd be interesting to see how everyone reacts to seeing him this way. I wouldn't be surprised if people start taking pictures and it circulates all the way back to UA. But we're going to have to see where the story goes from here next week, because it says we get another chapter on the 27th, which is next week. He's gone from Batman to Spawn. I kind of want a Spawn video game. We need a Spawn video game. Please, someone make this happen. We need a Spawn video game. Can you imagine playing a Spawn video game? You're on a rooftop and you're standing there, and your coat is his cape is just flowing around him, and it's just flowing, and it looks like it's alive. There's so much potential for a good Spawn video game, as long as Todd McFarlane has his hands in it. Because the best type of games are made by people who have a true passion for the project. Marvel Avengers, you could learn from that. But I digress. This was a fantastic chapter. I am so sorry that I kept you guys for going on about 50 minutes. But that's all I got for you guys. I cannot wait to see where the story goes, because as of right now, this story is absolutely fantastic. Oh my goodness, my hero, you are so good right now. Here's the thing. Not everyone likes the way that the pacing is going for My Hero Academia, but I feel like the pacing is doing very, very well. And I like where the story is going. It's showing that not everything is... Okay, I lost frames there for a quick second. I apologize if it froze up. It's probably going to cut back. It's probably going to cut back what I said, but to see someone as innocent as Midoriya go from being, happy-go-lucky and innocent and, being very, very extremely optimistic to this brooding vigilante-like person that is dead set on finding all for one. He has really, really changed over this entire story. He's become so powerful. His personality has straight up changed. But I don't know what's going to happen when things come to a head, when he does eventually find all for one. Who knows where things are going to go from there. But that's going to have to be something we think about as we wait for the next chapter for next week. that's all I got for you guys. I've hit 50 minutes, so I've already gone well over the time I currently intended. But yeah, with that being said, I enjoyed this chapter. It was amazing. So, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then, consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. It is an absolute honor to be an entertainer that you guys enjoy. So that's pretty much all I got. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, I tried to work in a little bit of a speech in there and it almost threw me off a little bit. Later, peoples.